It's now my pleasure to introduce Dr. Greg Picker. Dr. Greg Picker is the Executive Director of the Australian Food Cold Chain Council Refrigerants Australia, Australia's first advocacy group devoted to improving compliance and standards in the handling of food at all levels of the cold chain. Greg will discuss the traceability issues from the perspective of freight transport, storage and distribution. And also Greg has been involved with us on the long trip to this day. So welcome to you, Greg. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Hermione. Let's hope this all works well for me. Can you see the slides okay?
Okay.
Great, brilliant. First, let me say congratulations to the Supply Chain Center at Deakin. Congratulations, Hermione. Congratulations to the lab and the team. I think there's no doubt from what we've heard today that from a variety of perspectives, food traceability is absolutely essential. From our perspective, food traceability is one of the cornerstones to addressing some of the problems we see in food traceability. And can I say, I think you've done really well in setting up the timing of this, because Alastair just a few minutes ago talked about in passing, but I think he was absolutely right to do that. There are issues in the supply chain that we do need to address, and I'll go into a little detail on that. But Peter just then talked about the fact that we do have some of the solutions, and I think the guide and the work to further develop food traceability is going to be one of the central pieces to addressing the problems with the solutions that Peter's talking to. So we're quite excited about the potential this offers, and again, congratulations. To begin with, let me be clear, we do have a problem. One of the challenges, I think, for anyone that works in the cold chain and who tries to take a particular perspective on food loss and waste, but in the cold chain, is a lack of data. We know there are problems, and anecdotally, anyone who operates in the space is always hearing stories about what's happening, why it's happening, but there's a series of issues about that information being shared, as anyone who works in the area knows, and compiling that data is a particular challenge. We've been very fortunate that the expert group did a study with Refrigerants Australia, the Department of Agriculture, Water and Environment. It was released in 2019, that really presented some of the headline findings about what some of the losses in the food cold chain were. And I think this is worth just bearing in mind that we're talking about significant economic costs, significant environmental costs and social costs that result from this. These are big numbers and they're real numbers. And I should also point out that these estimates that are provided here, and I'm not going to go through them, you can read the screen, everybody, they don't consider the impacts of what subpar conditions along the way might also reduce shelf life in the future. So we know there's a problem, and it's something we need to address. What do we need to do about it? Thankfully, the report goes on, and I'll tie this back to food traceability specifically in just a second. But first, just going through this really quickly. What do we need? We need to better manage food between mobile and stationary refrigeration. Those critical control points that a number of people have mentioned are pivotally important, that we're better at managing those as we further develop our capacities. We need to better handle the food throughout the cold chain. This is just good common sense practice. One of the findings of the report is that somewhere around 60% or more of food losses is a direct result of poor food handling, of people not following the basic steps that they can do. Obviously, tracking food and sharing data throughout the cold chain, and I'll come back to this in more specificity in just a second, is absolutely essential. We need to be able to monitor food in real time, and to manage this better. And actually expanding and improving the operations of the cold chain, lastly, also can bring real benefits in reducing the amount of waste that we see. We're dealing with perishable products. Perishable products represent particular challenges. Peter just talked about vaccines. Most of the products that we move around the country and around the world aren't perishable. Those that are represent particular challenges, and we're just, I think, getting have the capacity to get much better in how we manage those going forward. So what can the traceability community do? What can you do? I guess I'm presenting this as a bit of a challenge. What comes next? It's great that we have a traceability guide. We have to use it. We have to get out, we have to see where it's available, and we have to build on it. And I think building it on it is absolutely essential. And I'm going to actually ask for two things that people consider as we go forward about where we can build on it. The first is we need not only tracing, but we need monitoring, and it needs to be real-time monitoring. We need to not only be able to trace food as it moves from the farm gate through the truck to the DC, to another truck, to the retailer, to the export market, wherever it might be. We need to know how it's doing at a particular moment in time. And do we need to couple that with the capacity to respond when things go wrong? It's great if we can trace food. It's a whole lot better if we can solve problems as they emerge. Secondly, and it was great to hear Peter talk about his perspective that parties are increasingly share information as food, and he was talking, I think, specifically about vaccines as they move from owner and whether it be truck to warehouse, wherever it might be. That's great, but that, as we know who deal in this industry, sadly is not universal by any stretch of the imagination. Data, tracing data, ongoing monitoring is only good if we have a commitment that as items move through the supply chain, that the information is moved at the same time in a way that's shared by everyone. So we can do appropriate fault identification and respond as when things go wrong. Things will go wrong. It's a complicated process. It's about how we develop a system to better manage it. Tracing is a great step that's going to help us do that, and it's something that we can build on going forward. That's the message that I just wanted to leave you with today. Thanks very much, Hermione, and again, congratulations. Well done.
Thank you very much, Greg. Much appreciated. Thank you.